to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you for joining me today. Oh, I hope you are having a lovely time wherever you are. I'm in Southern California, and some reason we woke up this morning and it was suddenly warm. Now, I know it's actually always kind of warm, yes, but it's been like 65, y'all. And I think this morning it was like 71, something pretty early in the morning. So I know that a lot of y'all, we're in the winter time in the Northern Hemisphere. So if you are on the East Coast, I hope that it's not too cold for y'all right now. And if you're, I think in the Midwest, pretty much everywhere, it's pretty chilly. So just enjoy some sunshine in your heart wherever you are. That's what I wish for you today. That's the blessing I wish upon you. And you know, today we normally have the wonderful Jarvis Essex producing the show, but I have a guest producer today. His name is Kurt Carlson?
Yes, Carlson.
Okay. Carlson.
You got it. You're good.
Good. So just so you guys know that we have a different energy in the studio, but you know what? Kurt, we've only met several times. We actually haven't worked together that much.
No, we have not.
Well, I mean, I was a guest on someone else's show that you engineered, I think.
Yeah, a few times you've been a guest.
Yeah,
so,
but Kurt's also highly sensitive. Kurt, you know you're an empath, right?
I've been told that.
Okay.
But, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, well, we're going to be talking all about that today, so I think you'll find yourself in some of what we're talking about with my amazing guest. But before I do bring on my guest, I would love to tell you guys about the 2018 Intuitive Intensive. The doors are still open for registration. This is an empowering, intensive program with my partner, Crystal Ann Compton, spiritual teacher and intuitive channel, and we are partnering for this 12-week. I just can't even describe how transformative it's going to be. It's to blast open your intuitive abilities and, your psychic abilities. And I do hope you guys will check it out. We do have still an early bird registration, $50 off if you sign up in January. And the way to sign up, you go to thelightworkerslab.com/intuitive. That's thelightworkerslab.com/intuitive. If you're curious at all, if this tickles you right there in your heart chakra, I invite you to go check it out, read all about the program. And if you feel called to, if you feel like you can set that intention, because that's all it takes, then go ahead and register, especially while you can take advantage of that early bird discount. Without further ado, I would love to bring on my special guest today. She is an Amazon best-selling author and holistic life coach, and her name is Arielle Sterling. Welcome, Ari.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure. I just love Ari. You and I met in the Lightworkers Lab. Ari is also a teacher, a designated teacher in the Lightworkers Lab, which, by the way, the Lightworkers Lab is, hello, Lightworkers Lab. We broadcast directly into the Lightworkers Lab. This is an online spiritual community. Ari, how about that lab, huh?
It's incredible. Honestly, one of the best communities I have found on Facebook. And I've been on Facebook for a frightening number of years at this point. So really grateful to have found such a loving, caring, connected community. So gracious, so knowledgeable. Honestly, it's one of the best communities on Facebook.
Yeah, I completely agree. The resources of the Lightworkers Lab, you just go to Facebook and search for the group, the Lightworkers Lab, and we invite you. If you like this program, I know you're going to love being in this community. Community is really important. Fellowship is really important. We join our light together and we grow and we change this reality. We change this quantum reality. We change the thought form by gathering together, by joining our love and our light together. So, Ari, you are an empath, and that is a lot of the work that you do is working with empaths, helping them to become empowered and to open up their spiritual abilities as empaths. And that is what I recognize. That's how it was a portal for me to understand my empathic nature, or just even the definition of being an empath. So, Ari, why don't you tell everyone about your journey, your work? I don't think I've actually ever heard this before, even though we're like, we go way back now. I've never really heard what your journey is and opening up, or, how you got into this work.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've been doing this my entire life. Ever since I can remember, I have been clairvoyant. So.
Oh, goodness, we got a hitch. All right, we're going to call on.
there was something.
One sec, Arielle, we just got a hitch, so I'm just asking for Archangel Michael to help us to clear up the lines of communication, as well as Archangel Gabriel. Thank you so much for blessing this time and this space that we have, and I'm calling on those specialty angels of technology. We do not want Mercury retrograde in the studio today. We've been having that. We've been having that lately. All right, go ahead and repeat that if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. So I was just saying, I've been a clairvoyant ever since I can remember. I've been able to see energy around people, even to the point when I was very young, being able to tell if my mom had a headache, if she was, tired or something. So I was able to see energy in the body, and I was able to figure out where I was able to touch on the body or move energy around the body to help fill in that space. Wow. So that was kind of my first sign that something was a little different. Something was a little off.
It was a little on. Something was a little on.
That's true. Something was a little on. And it just kind of, went from there. I always had issues with electronics growing up. I was hypersensitive to what people would say, to what, my classmates would say. So once I started to realize, maybe all of these intricacies are connected, once I discovered the fact that I was an empath, that it wasn't, a coincidence that a street lamp was going out when I was upset and walking by it, that, the microwave that I blew up, when I was upset, that wasn't a coincidence either, that, I still got blamed for 10, 15 years later. Right? So, these little things start making sense once you figure out, this is all connected. This all has to do with my energy and how sensitive I am to, technology, to other people, to food. That was a really big one for me.
Yeah, food. I know actually, let's talk about what an empath is. It is one who feels other people's emotions and thoughts as though they are their own. And having this function, and really is a function is the way I think of it. Some of us function that way so consistently that we kind of take on this entire label like it is our being. But there are some people who maybe, if that doesn't seem like you do that all the time, you still might do it sometimes. So it's good to understand the function of being an empath. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think it's a tool more than anything.
Yes.
I think once we understand that it is a tool, and it's not an overwhelming factor, but it can help us so greatly once we figure out how to actually use it and not let it take over.
Yeah, not let it use us. That's
exactly.
And that was the thing. My whole world broke open when I just heard that definition. And I was like, the words hadn't even totally taken root in my conscious mind. And I was like having catharsis because it was putting everything, the energy of it, was shaking everything back into place and making things make sense. But it is a tool. I always talk about tools. Anything that you identify outside of yourself is a tool, because the only truth is your own sovereignty, is your own inner being. So anything outside of it, whether it's a person, a teacher, a function, or a crystal, that is a tool. It is something that you can partner with to allow your inner being to come out more authentic, to experience more transparency about the totality of who you really are. And so this empath function, yes. So when did that kind of shake into place for you, being an empath?
I think by the time I hit high school and I started really studying Reiki, I started to understand more spiritual concepts. And I think at that time I was introduced to the idea of empaths. People were telling me, you're too sensitive. You're going to have to grow a thicker skin. And that really never resonated for me.
Yeah.
I never wanted to change who I was. And that was always kind of at the core of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to celebrate my differences and not have to hide from them. And I think I spent a lot of my childhood hiding who I was and hiding what was actually going on. So part of my goal as, a coach is to help other empaths find empowerment.
Yes. And that's the thing about the empath function, is that if you aren't really aware of how it works, or that it is a tool that you need to sometimes put down and that you are meant to be using it, then it actually, I was shown once, my guides told me essentially that it becomes the function malfunctioning, the function of being an empath. When it malfunctions, it is akin to having an autoimmune disease. It's an autoimmune disease of the emotional body rather than the physical body. But an autoimmune disease, and incidentally, a lot of empaths have autoimmune diseases, several, or autoimmune illnesses. an autoimmune disease is when the body or the immune system is actually attacking itself, when it's actually supposed to be the other way around, where it actually heals. And that's what the empath function is meant to do. We're not supposed to be having it work to where we're absorbing all the time, and we are unintentionally or seemingly unintentionally. It isn't truly unintentional. It's just that we're not deep into our awareness about what is happening. We actually are casting out those lines to ask for that information, but it's happening in a level of the unconscious mind that we need to bring out. And that goes to say, as a coach, I'm sure that's very much what you do. You help people to bring out those abilities and the gold in the unconscious mind, right? Is that? Yeah. And so how long have you been doing so you're a holistic life coach. Holistic seems to bring into the picture also the idea of the physical body. And is that right? Is that part of your work as well?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I'm talking about life coaching, I'm talking about working on mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies at the same time. Because often you'll see if there's a discrepancy in one, there's often something going on in the rest of the body. So if there's a physical concern that's in the body, there's typically something elsewhere that can be shifted as well to facilitate in greater and faster healing.
Yes, because it is a complex of that. We get triune, or even if you bring into it, just to note that, the spiritual side of it, mind, body, and spirit is what we talk about, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. And when one is suffering or one is out of balance, then the others are as well. The body may actually kick up to try and support where the mind is struggling, but ultimately that's not sustainable.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you often see, if it is in the mind where it is trying to overcompensate, you see anxiety, you see depression, you see a lot of things manifesting that may not have been coming up before that are, signs that there's something imbalanced in one of the other bodies. So and I prefer looking at it, from, again, that holistic perspective, so you can see the entire picture.
Right. That's wonderful. And so do you have particular programs that you work with folks on? And by the way, are most of your clients empaths? Are they attracted to you because they're empaths?
Yeah, most of my clients are empaths. And I started seeing patterns in discussions I was having with clients. And I was like, oh, I keep having these same discussions over and over. So I started putting the clues together, and it was like, oh, so the people who are drawn to me are like me. Mm-hmm. May not, understand all of their gifts, but are willing to do the work and put in the practice to really find out who they are and who they want to be.
And that makes so much sense. Isn't that great that we get to help people with homework we've already done?
It's kind of amazing that way, right? And I tell my clients, there's nothing that I ask you to do that I haven't done myself. So as silly as it may sound sometimes, as, frustrating sometimes as some of the homework is, it's all in good faith that I've been there too. Yes,
absolutely. But what's cool about that too is that as we're helping someone with a particular issue or, new expression of their spirit, we tend to be going through a similar kind of revisit of that. It's an onion.
Absolutely.
Or I once saw this recently. I saw a graphic that said, your life path isn't a straight line. It's a cycle. It's it's kind of like a spiral. And so, you're kind of going on maybe three rungs out, but you're going past it at the same time. You're like, okay, all right, spirit, I hear you.
Over and over. I totally get that. I have created an 8-week coaching program that I run a couple times a year. And I feel like every time I run it, the weeks are all themed.
Yes.
So no matter what lesson we're going on, that week's theme is predominant in my life. So I absolutely resonate with that.
And what's interesting is that I was just coaching one of my mentoring clients about, she was doing some readings. And after she did her practice readings, I told her that some of the things that we do, you may have already talked to someone about it that week. And your kind of ego mind, the one that's conditioned by society, will say, hey, that's not really for this person. You're just kind of thinking that because it happened the other day. Or, hey, you already told someone that, so you're obviously, this is BS. But the thing is, that's actually conventional society. This says everything should be brand new and fresh every time. And it's not, that's not actually... That's the things work in this really cool way where you do kind of cheat off your own paper in a way, but it's not really cheating. you know?
Right. When you've already done the work, it's not really cheating.
Right, of course. And being willing to be in that space of pulling through brand new information as well as information that you're hearing in a brand new way. You know, you've already learned it. So we did entitle this program, this episode, as The Spiritual Powers of Empaths. So what are some of those key abilities that a person who is more dominant in the empath function, what are some of the things? You know, you mentioned clairvoyance. I think that is something that people who may not even emphasize the empathic kind of sensing, that they still experience that. But do you experience something like your clairvoyance or your other energy sensing in a way that is more rooted in the empathic nature and function?
I think when I'm talking about really the empathic nature, I really think to those heart spaces that we get into, where there are people, I think, that are so able to go out and do things that, you know, myself, I'm not even able to do. I think about people who are in the medical profession, so nurses, doctors, social workers even, who are able to get into that space of really being one-on-one with somebody and really sitting with them and hearing them and feeling them. And that's always what I really think of, you know, outside of even the spiritual gifts. I think that we forget sometimes that there's so many amazing abilities that people sometimes they feel so sensitive and they feel so, you know, almost wrecked by their emotions sometimes. But we have people in all walks of life who have to be sensitive in order to do their jobs, to work with children, to be teachers, to get one-on-one with people like that. So I think it's so much bigger than even I could ever explain as somebody who sees things from a very spiritual perspective.
Yes, it's true. And what I think was pivotal for me was to understand that when I first heard about, you know, kind of consciously understood the empath as someone who experiences other people's emotions and thoughts as though they are their own, as though they are native to them. And it first seemed to me like I had a diagnosis of something horrible. And then I quickly shifted out of that because I was like, wait, no, this has always been true. So it's not something new that's been discovered upon me. And I quickly also, the very next thing I thought was, well, there must be a way that this works well. I don't believe that I was created to have something that victimizes me. And what helped me to put it in place was to understand I do experience other people's feelings, their emotions, their vibrations as though they are my own. However, I can also experience any vibration at any time. I came in sensitive so that I could remember the highest vibration, which is love. So we feel where they are, but we shift to closer to where love is, and we stand in that gap. That's, I think, one of the best gifts of an empath, and it's just being able to master that tool. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And that's exactly it, standing in that gap of love, because I think I say this so much, in every moment we have a choice whether or not we're going to look through the lens of fear or the lens of love.
Yes.
I really don't think there are other options besides those two viewpoints. So if we're not looking through fear, it is in love. So I do think absolutely it's important to, you know, remember that we are these beautiful beings, and we are here, like you said, to feel these things. We're not put on this earth with these gifts as a curse. This is a blessing for us. Yes. This is so that we can connect with other people. I mean, I walk around and I see people who I wonder if they even, you know, connect with other people, if they're really, you know, listening when other people talk, if they're really, you know, connecting on a heart space. And I think that's probably one of the biggest spiritual gifts as an empath, is that we get to be able to do that. It seems like such a forgotten gift.
Oh, that's so true, and so called for in this time right now, in this age that we are in. Yes. We talk about the lack of empathy and the lack of compassion in the world. And well, for those of you who are sensitive and it feels like you're harmed even more by witnessing that lack, just know that all you have to do is create it in yourself, and you're actually changing the whole world. The whole world is changed by you changing your frequency and finding again and vibrating to love. You know, we talked about, so clairvoyance, that is the ability to see with the mind's eye, and anyone can, well, I always hesitate to say anyone can open up, can, experience this, because we have dominance in certain areas, and it's totally okay if you are more dominant in other ways of using your imaginal mind or your spiritual sensing, your psychic sensing. But everyone can experience clairvoyance, and clairsentience is one that is really in the center of what how an empath functions. And that's, to me, being able to shift the empathic function to the empowered understanding of it, is that we would be able to then use it as a clairsentience with our will, rather than it being unconsciously using us, so that we're continually absorbing. And it really is a shift from basically that second dimensional sacral chakra up to the heart chakra, I think, or letting them at least a flow, not entirely, obviously. We don't shut down the sacral just because we're using the heart. It's more of raising up that energy to the unconditional space.
Yeah, and I think you make a really good point with the shifting of the energy in the chakras, especially when we start to consider that the heart chakra is really that connection point between the physical chakras and the more spiritual chakras. So that makes perfect sense as you're moving more out of your body and into that greater oneness.
Yes. And so literally, how do you help your clients who are empaths to awaken certain spiritual powers? I mean, powers it's kind of an alluring way to phrase it, but it is a power. And I think that an empath in particular, the word power may actually frighten them a little bit and think, well, I don't want to be powerful. That's what narcissists do. Right?
Right. And then it's, I had that too for a while, where I was like, oh no, this is too much. I don't want this. This is not what I asked for. So I totally get that. You have to go through that sometimes.
Yes.
And understanding that, again, these are your superpowers. These are, built-in gifts that, like you say, if you don't learn to use them, they're going to use you.
And everyone is powerful. Everyone is meant to be powerful and unique, which is a funny thing to recognize too, is that, hey, you're unique, just like everyone else. But it must Absolutely. Honestly, I think it must be said to the people who are very sensitive and highly empathic, because they're constantly trying to make things equal. And while there's integrity in that, the truth is your autonomy as a part of the whole is what actually builds up the power of everything, of everyone, is you actually finding your own power rather than bringing yourself down. That's what an empath tends to do. An empath tends to turn down their volume so that they aren't louder than everyone else, when it's actually turning up your volume will allow everyone else to raise up theirs as well. You can be the leader in that and hold that space for everyone.
Absolutely. And that was definitely a lesson that I had to learn, was to turn within myself, kind of tune everybody else off, and start working on myself instead of looking around at everything that was going on around me. And once I started doing the work for myself and up-leveling, everybody else kind of met me where I was at.
Yes. Oh, it's so great. Right. And it's such a great lesson in being able to have faith in yourself as well as others, being able to recognize their light, because it's true. Like, I know it's Eckhart Tolle. He says that a spiritual teacher is like a log of fire, and when another log comes proximate to it, then the fire spreads. And it's just natural. It's a natural process. The empath tends to think, when they are still discovering, their wellness and their empowerment, an empath tends to feel isolated and alone, because that's how we kind of operate in the world. Like you said, it seemed like something was off when actually something was quite on. It's just that in this society construct, it felt really different. And so you felt like you were doing it all on your own. And that's another thing that an empath needs to learn, is that you aren't doing it all on your own. You're just being a channel. You're just being a medium for divine to enter through you in cooperation with everything else, including your fellow humans.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, like you said, we are channels. So it's important to, as empaths, get really clear on what is our energy and what is not our energy. And I think for me, that was one of the biggest lessons and gifts of getting really quiet for a little bit of time and really listening to myself and listening to my heart, and not trying to listen to everybody else around me. Because, like you said, as empaths, we want to be the peacekeepers. We want to make everybody happy, because even if they say one thing, we know what somebody really feels.
Right.
So
And it doesn't, and I tell my clients who are like, I had a client who was like kind of just discovering her empathic function. And she said that to me, like, I confront people all the time because they say something, but I know they're feeling something else. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works, honey. Because you know what? They don't know what they're feeling. So you convicting them of that actually doesn't help them to, if you challenge them in that way, and it can actually cause them to start feeling something else. And so then you're just inaccurate. Right?
Yeah. And yeah, part of that was, again, learning to know what's mine and what, I thought was mine and what wasn't, right? So really getting clear on that, because like you said, we only know what's within us, right? Because they may not even understand where they're at.
And here's the thing about the empath function too, is that there are two things to note, is that when we take on something that is not our own and we identify with it, if we vibrate to it for long enough, well, then it just becomes yours. So it doesn't really matter what the source was anymore. And then the other thing is that if you aren't really aware of your true native land, that inner space that is actually yours, and you are absorbing or whatever, you also can't be clear about when you're picking up someone else's stuff and then kind of convict them of it. You could be projecting your own onto them. That's the thing that without the empowerment of actually being in your own space and knowing it so well, then everything just becomes like this like swirling vortex of confusion. And that's why empaths tend to, when they're unempowered, disempowered, they tend to be very anxious, more anxious people.
Absolutely. I see that with a lot of my clients, very anxious, having trouble going out in social situations, trouble going to the grocery store, things like that.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I'd like to take a moment, actually, and I want to give a shout-out to my sponsor for this episode of Charmed Life, HelloFresh, your weekend dinner solution. HelloFresh makes it so easy for you to cook delicious and balanced dinners for less than $10, guys. Can you believe that? Healthy, fresh, delicious dinners. It comes pre-packaged with all of the ingredients already prepared for you to just be able to put it together. Every one of their meals it takes only 30 minutes or less to prepare, which I think is amazing. This week, I made an arugula salad with crispy artichokes and potatoes with a garlic and chipotle aioli. Y'all, even the garlic came peeled. And I love cooking, but, I get stuck in a rut, and so HelloFresh will help you. They bring all these meals and gets you out of that comfort zone, or the rut zone, as I like to call it. You can choose your delivery day so that it works best with your busy schedule, and you won't have to spend all night in that kitchen because, like I said, 30 minutes or less. You can choose a plan, either classic, veggie, or family, and I think that's really great. I don't have kids. I have cats, but the cats take a lot of time anyway. So everything, though, is really balanced and very satisfying. My husband and I tend to eat lighter than he does a lot of times, but he's completely satisfied with the meals from HelloFresh. So to get $30 off your first week with HelloFresh, visit HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code CharmedLife30. That is $30 off your first week, HelloFresh.com, and enter the promo code CharmedLife30. All right. And by the way, we are taking calls. If you would like to call in to ask a question or get a little bit of an intuitive introspection into your, an intuitive reading, you can dial in 323-524-2599. I have Arielle Sterling on with me, Amazon best-selling author and holistic life coach. So, Ari, we were talking about how sometimes when that empathic nature is malfunctioning, it's not always clear what we're picking up. And how do you take your clients from that place of malfunction to function again? What are some of the, tips or exercises that you recommend?
Something that I work with a lot of my clients on is daily practices, because we get so wrapped up in, going through our day-to-day lives. If you have kids, if you have, a traditional job where you're going to the office every day, you can really get wrapped up in your regular 9-to-5 kind of routine. So I really try and have my clients look at their day-to-day experiences and see where we can tweak what we're already doing. So a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, okay, I am meditating, but I'm, experiencing anxiety. I'm still feeling other people. So really bringing in the idea of energetic hygiene is something that I've found really helpful for my clients. Because a lot of people do, again, have a daily practice, whether it's, waking up in the morning and saying a prayer, or, waking up and, counting what you're grateful for before you get out of bed. I think it's really important to have a routine where you are working to fill yourself up, mentally, energetically, physically, every single day. I think that's where I see my clients struggle the most. They maybe have one day a week that is for them and they fill back up, but then every other day they're pouring out. And so by the end of the week, when we get to that one day, we're completely frazzled.
That's not balanced. That's not sustainable. And exactly. So you mentioned energetic hygiene, and I also call it sometimes spiritual hygiene. It's very important, just like we bathe our bodies. And for someone who emphasizes the empathic function, energetic hygiene is very important. So you, in order to have good energetic hygiene, you recommend like a meditation, or what are some of those? What are some of those tools?
Yeah, I recommend a 4-step process. And for everybody, it's going to look a little different because we all resonate with different concepts, ideas, and tools. So the first step is always to ground yourself. So whether that is with a meditation, envisioning roots coming out of your feet, whatever that looks like to you, whether that's just stepping outside and actually connecting with Mother Earth herself. And every day that can look different too. My process every single day looks different. As much as, I'd like to have that same routine, my body, my soul craves differences. So I always look at the first step as grounding, so connecting in. The second step would be releasing, so anything that is no longer serving the highest and best good. So whether that's thought patterns, things we've been ruminating on all day, if we've had an argument with somebody, if somebody said something maybe not so kind to us, or we overheard something or saw something. So to release. I think the third thing that everybody forgets, and this is really the key for a lot of my clients, is that filling back up. Because we're kind of spongy-like, right? Right. Especially those of us who are empaths. If we wring everything out, we're going to be dry again. And so if we don't fill back up, it's really easy for us to soak all that stuff that we just wrung out back in. So filling back up. And then the fourth step for me is always maintaining the energy. So some people say it as either protecting or shielding. Those terms don't necessarily resonate for me. So I like to think of it as maintaining my energy and strengthening my own energy in that.
I love that. Yeah.
By working through those 4 steps, I see a really big difference with my clients.
You guys, if you didn't catch that, go get a pen and paper, rewind it, write those down. I definitely agree. I prefer maintaining as well. And that's key. That is key, because that is something that's really important for an empath to first understand that she can do, is to actually maintain, not just an empath, honestly, anyone, any person, to recognize that you do not actually need someone else to behave or feel any particular way for you to be and feel the way that you choose to. You maintaining your vibration and maintaining a higher vibration is your fundamental function as a healer, which is, by the way, what the empath is a healer. That's the whole point. We do have a call. Would you like to take a call, Arielle?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. I think you're on the air. Hello, you're on the air. Who's this? There you are. Hi there. Who's this?
Hi. This is Gina Vorman.
Sorry, I didn't hear your first name. Tina?
Tina.
Hi, Tina. We have Arielle Sterling on with us. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. What is on your mind today, Tina?
It's Gina. Sorry. With
okay.
the G.
There we go.
G.
Gina. Thank you. I was like, that did not feel right.
I just have to say that both of you are speaking to my heart completely. I've been following you, Tricia, for a while. And
thank you.
I feel like Spirit guided me to you through Abraham Hicks and all the things I've been listening to. And I'm going through a phase of awakening, and it's very intense right now. And things are speeding up. And I've blown through 3 jobs in the last year because I believe that I'm being directed to do something higher with myself. But that path to me, it feels a little unclear right now. because so many things have come into sort of like my vortex, and I'm having a little bit of trouble deciding which path to take. And I don't know if maybe there's if you're receiving any sort of message about, where I'm supposed to be going right now.
Okay, great. Ari, do you have any?
Yeah. The first thing that came in is something that comes in for me a lot when I have a lot of ideas. And I think especially as empaths, those of us who are sensitive, we know that there's so much good that we have to give to the world, so it can be overwhelming at times. Something that has resonated for me is if I'm in a space of having to make a decision, I'm already not listening to my guidance. So there may be signs in your space. There may be some more specific guidance that you are already getting that it almost feels like you may be ignoring because you want you want something different. So get really clear on what it is that you actually want. The other thing that I'm hearing is that it's okay to change your mind.
Yep.
It's okay.
I have that written down too. I'm making notes right here. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I heard. That it's okay to change your mind. It's okay that, right now, this is what is on your heart. This is what you are supposed to be doing. And it's okay if in a few months, in a few years, you're called to do something else. I think it's important that we don't get stuck in what we think we should be doing because then we're still not listening. So really be true to where your heart is calling you is what I'm hearing. Tricia, do you want to add to that?
Gina, you're working on your solar plexus right now, and that's what I picked up before you even told us that you had that you changed jobs 3 times this year. And when you said that, I was like, well, that makes so much sense if you're really working in solar plexus, because that solar plexus is the inner CEO. It's the one who wants to execute on the 3rd dimensional plane. So, you're kind of moving a lot of that energy around in there. And so I'm giving you that so that you understand the context, that you're not crazy, that it's okay. You know what I mean? Like things are happening as they should. And if you could zoom out a bit and get even greater context and be like, how cool is that? That chick is cool. She changed jobs 3 times in 1 year. You know what I mean? Like celebrate that a little bit, that you were brave enough to be moving on your impulses. That's wonderful. And one thing they're telling me as well to sort of lengthen that thought that it's okay to change your mind is that when you are shifting around with these different shoes that you're trying on, that you're not going to lose one of them by emphasizing another one. It's okay to feel into it for a while. It's not like you're not throwing away the other thing. It may come back around, and just allow yourself to be present with whatever you are experiencing at the time. I saw something about music, a music conductor or orchestrate, and I don't know if this is a symbol for someone who is stands up. I saw like conducting an orchestra. And so I think that being able to harmonize, but also being in that flow, being an expert at it as an orchestrator, as a musical conductor would be, and being an expert at the music that is going to be played, and being the leader and the guide for everyone, but at the same time being completely in the moment, because music is 2 things, just like living this life is. It is being an expert, technically speaking, but it's also being completely in the flow so that divine can move, so that inspiration can move, even though the music has already been learned. So it's being in that presence. But since I see you as a conductor, then I see you as a leader, but and maybe not in a way that is like, charging an army, but someone who is bringing everyone's gifts together and helping them to coalesce. Does that resonate to you? Do you feel that a bit?
Oh my gosh, more than yes. Music to me, I feel like music, a certain band helped me find who I am. And I feel a little obsessed with them, but whenever I listen to them, I feel like my whole universe opens up, and that Gaia energy just comes in, and I'm able to give it out. And, I feel like the calling for me came from music and was telling me, to go to find a path and stop second guessing yourself and just go on this healing path. And, I believe I really do want to take your intuitive course.
Oh, wonderful. I hope so.
Because I feel like there's so much more to learn.
Yeah.
But yes, music. Oh my gosh, Tricia, you hit the nail right on the head.
Is that band Imagine Dragons by any chance?
No,
There's
do you want to know the name of the band?
Yeah, if you'd like to share it.
It's Fish.
Fish.
With a PH.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Oh, well, that makes sense too.
Yeah,
Because they're jammers, because they jam. So, yeah, sure, they have, they're very much like jazz. You know, with jazz, you learn the system, but then you intelligently break the rules. And you just do it in the moment. Yeah, love that. That's wonderful. Yeah, people who are Fish fans, though, they are obsessed. So go ahead, girl. That's what, if you're a Fish fan, you have to be obsessed. That's it.
What's that?
I said if you're a Fish fan, the only option is to be obsessed. That's every Fish fan I know is obsessed. So it's perfectly normal.
Yes, it is. But I feel like the obsession came from they helped me find who I am so I can bring that out to others.
Mm-hmm.
And, leaving this third career, which I'm about to do, is challenging, but I have to kind of get over that and just say, nope, I'm being called to something different and move on my way. And you have to be brave. So
I think it would also be good if you might enjoy looking into your numbers a bit. Do you know what your life path is? Are you life path 5?
No, I don't know.
Okay, well, like for example, I'm life path 5, and that's one who is an adventure seeker, and it drives me crazy because as soon as I fall in love with something and I've mastered it, I'm ready for something else. And it's like to be in transition all the time it makes me insane, but it's my nature. So it's just forcing me to be present. And I don't know if you're life path 5, but you can decipher that by just adding your birth date together. So the month, the day, the year, add it all up, and then that's your life path. But yeah, look into your numbers. Maybe you can even go online to there's psychicsource.com it has like the calculators and just the the descriptions of the numbers, and obviously let your intuition fill in what all of those things mean, because that's those descriptions will be. But I think they might put some things in place for you and make you feel okay and to be in that context of everything. But you're right where you need to be, and I know as a life path 5er who's always changing shit up and it just driving yourself crazy, but it forces you into presence. But yeah,
yes, my whole life I'm just constantly transitioning and shifting, and I'm okay with that. I'm a very free spirit, but I think with the people that I'm surrounded with, my family, it kind of makes them crazy. My 12-year-old son's like, "Mom, make up your mind. You did this, now you're gonna do that, and you're gonna do this." He's like, "Can you just settle down?" I'm like, "I don't know if I can. Like, it's not part of who I am."
Well,
and
that's
I'm okay
great.
with that.
I mean, how fun is that? That's a cool mom.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Gina.
Much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for calling in. So lovely to connect with you. I hope that we do get to connect more in the course or in other ways. Really nice to meet you today.
You too. Thanks, Arielle. Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
How much time do we have left, Kurt?
We have about 8 minutes.
Oh, cool. Okay. How about let's take another call, Ari?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Hello, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, it's Laura Lee.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Laura Lee. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Tricia and Arielle?
Hi.
How are you doing? What's going on? Yeah, go ahead, honey.
I'm doing really well. Sorry, there's a delay, so I apologize if I cut you off.
No, it's all right. That's how it is. That's how it works.
Actually, why I called, I want to share something with you.
Wonderful.
I've taken your empath course, Tricia.
Yes, thank you.
Excuse me, as well as many other courses through the Lightworkers Lab. But I want to share something.
Please do.
When my son was in the hospital, and as you well know, when you're an empath, people sort of seek you out, tell you their life story sometimes.
Yes.
But how I handled that was, instead of getting drawn into the story, I connected to them from a place of love. I imagine my heart chakra connecting with theirs. But there's a story I specifically want to share with you, how this worked and how it is a superpower.
Oh, wonderful.
I went outside for some fresh air. I was talking to my best friend on the phone. My son was sleeping. I didn't want to talk in the room. And I had a pair of really expensive brand new headphones. I had them sitting on my lap, and I stood up because it's so cold here and went back inside and realized, oh no, I dropped my headphones. went back outside, and there was only one person there. And I figured, I actually heard my guide say he has them.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached him very nicely and just said, hey, I'm just wondering if you might have happened to see a set of headphones. I just left them out here. And he looked at me. I think I might have left them out here, I mean. And he looked at me shocked, and he went, oh, no, I haven't seen them at all. I walked back inside, and I heard my guide say, he has them now. What are you going to do? And so I sat there for a moment. I was a little disappointed, and I heard them say, my guides, maybe he needs them more than you do.
Oh.
So instead what I did was I focused on that. I sent him love, and the most miraculous thing happened a half hour later. I was still sitting in the quiet area talking to my friend, and this gentleman walked right past me, went to go back outside for a cigarette, and I don't know what stopped him. He stopped. He turned and looked at me, walked right up to me and said, here, and handed me the headphones. And I said, oh, my goodness, you found them. And he said, no, they were always there right where you left them. He said, I want to return them to you. Now, if that's not a superpower, using your empathic abilities that way, instead of focusing on being angry, I just lost my new headphones. I know he has them. And instead I just accepted and connected from the heart chakra to his. I have no other explanation.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Laura Lee. Yes, that's just like Ari said earlier, that when you have the choice of either connecting in fear or seeing it through fear or seeing it through love. You know, seeing it through fear would be, how dare he? Oh, I lost them. Oh, I can't afford to get new ones. All of that kind of fear-based stuff. But you saw love. You saw put that lens of love on, and miracles happen. And it does. That's the thing that I think I said in the Empath course a couple of times, is that when you make the choice to identify with love, it makes everything else that happened in the past right. Love is powerful enough to make a wrong right. So the fact that this man, wanted to maybe pocket them or whatever, it made this journey that you had when you identified with it beautiful. It made it really wonderful. And now you're sharing it with us and so many people who are listening. That's wonderful, Laura Lee. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to share it. So many miracles happened when I was in there with my son, but that was one of the most beautiful and the most awe-inspiring. It was literally like a magnet. I could not believe he just walked right past, and he had to be at least 30 to 60 feet away. He turned and he stopped, looked at me, and walked right up to me. And all I did was thank him and said, you know what, bless you. Because I said, and I explained my situation. He had the biggest smile, and I said, you know what, you don't know how much I appreciate this. Thank you.
Aww.
So I wanted to share it. It's a superpower. It's not a curse.
That's right.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much, Laura Lee, and blessings to you and Justin. I hope that he continues to improve, and your whole family. I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love you guys both too. Thanks. Have a great Sunday, guys.
Thanks.
You too, Laura Lee. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, I think we are pretty close to the end of our show. Arielle, would you like to tell folks how they can get in touch with you? And if you have a program or anything that's coming up, go ahead and share that with us now.
Yeah, you can reach me on my website, ariellesterling.com. You can also feel free to come join me. I have a Facebook group where I work exclusively with empaths and people who live with empaths. So if you have sensitive little children around too, if you have other family members who are empaths, we work through all of those situations. So it's called the Empathic Emporium. I actually don't have any programs going right now, but you can sign up for my mailing list, again, on my website, ariellesterling.com. And there's a bunch of great freebies, and I will be letting everybody know when we have the next 8-week session.
And your books as well. Share it with folks.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that old hat, right? Okay. So my first book is called Shift Happens, 21 Days to Better Energy Through the Chakras. This is my Amazon best-selling book.
Wow.
Very proud of that. I am actually being featured in one of Awakening in a Box's chakra boxes. So
amazing.
Really getting some exciting opportunities to share more information about chakras and how you can really get in tune with your own energy and really get clear with your own body.
That's wonderful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And then my other book we mentioned briefly that goes with my 8-week program. It's called Release Density and Shift Your Life. And again, both of these are available on Amazon.
That's terrific. Thank you so much for being here today, Arielle Sterling. And by the way, if you're listening on podcast, if you're listening to the audio, her name is spelled Arielle, and Sterling like silver. My gosh, how I just have to say, your name is, my assistant, when we were setting this up, she's like, how cool is her name? I'm like, I know, right? It's the coolest name ever.
There's a quick story I have to tell you about my name, because I would be remiss if I didn't. I come from a very spiritually inclined family. So before I was born, my mom actually did go to see a psychic. And the story goes that they decided to name me Arielle Sterling so that I would have a built-in stage name.
Oh, it is, definitely is. And I'm connected to Archangel Arielle. She is actually like the head of my team. I'm a descendant of Archangel Arielle. So I definitely get so much warm fuzziness when quick story, when I was first opening up to my understanding my spirituality in this specific way, like sort of had my metaphysical opening, and I was reading about angels, and I didn't know from angel who to him. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know the names of angels except for the ones Gabriel and Michael, whatever. And I was reading this book, and it was the very beginning of the book, and the author says, you can ask the name of your guardian angel. And I was like, cool, put down the book, and I said, what's the name of my guardian angel? And I heard Arielle. And I was like the Little Mermaid? That's crazy. That was seriously all I knew. And then I went, and then just not too many pages later, she starts talking about the archangels, and I looked up the archangels, and Arielle is the one who oversees the natural kingdom, animals, wild nature, and I am an animal communicator. I'd already uncovered that gift, besides the fact that I'm completely obsessed with animals and nature. And I also, I learned also, Arielle told me that it's not just nature, but it's also empaths and sensitive people that she has a special work for, because we vibrate more to nature. And so isn't that interesting? Anyway, we're probably over on time now, but I wanted to share that with you as well as everyone else. So thank you again, Arielle Sterling, for being on Charmed Life today. I hope you'll come back another time. Wonderful work. Thank you for your work.
Anytime.
Great. And thank you for tuning in. Do please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tricia Carr, or subscribe to the podcast outlets, Charmed Life with Tricia Carr. I hope to see you again next week. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.